Hi, this is Lori Youngdahl with the Oil Nets team, and I wanted to welcome everybody to our class. This is just a basic essential oil class, and what I've learned over the years, I've been using the Young Living oils for 10 years now. And what I've learned is there's a lot of stuff that's really obvious to people. And then there are a lot of these kind of like secret menu type items that aren't so obvious until you get into using the oils. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I wish I'd known about that. And let me give you a really quick example about like the secret menu item. Like if you use an essential oil like peppermint and then you go and you touch your eye and you're not quite sure what to do next because you're feeling the vapors. So we're going to talk about some safety issues. We're going to talk about, when is it appropriate to dilute an essential oil? Do we have to dilute an essential oil? Is purity really that big of a deal? Because everybody's claiming there's a bunch of companies out there and they're all claiming that their oils are the purest ones on the planet. So we're going to talk very quickly about, what is this seed to seal thing that Young Living has and why is it such a big deal, or is it a big deal? And so I'll let you guys decide once I've given you some information. And so just to get started, I picked up this image and I just thought it was so great as an explanation of where my family's health was when I first started using the oils. It was like we were encased in cement. There were just all kinds of health issues going on. And then we discovered Young Living and the oils and the supplements and recipes of things that we can do in our own home, pulling toxins out of the home, because I realized with my kids having really terrible asthma and allergies that things like the shampoo I was wearing or the laundry soap that I was using, that my kids were breathing that in 24/7. It was on their clothing when they were playing during the day, and then they'd go and lay on sheets and they were smelling this laundry detergent all day long. And it was one factor that was just aggravating their health. And so now that, and I can't say that I turned into an expert overnight, and don't be hard on yourself, because if you're just starting in this journey, you're not going to be an expert overnight. But one good decision today is better than none at all. And so that's really what we are about, is just sort of helping people baby step their way toward a healthier lifestyle and helping you to connect with a healthier version of yourself. So that's kind of like where we are. We were like, woo, our health was so much better afterwards. Are you guys able to see the screen that I'm showing?
Yes.
The slides? Okay, good. So Young Living, Gary Young's been quoted as saying, we're about lifestyle and strengthening the body through nutrition and powerful essential oils. And that when we do this, then the body's, we're perfectly designed. So the body's got all these checks and balance systems in it, and the body's going to take care of itself. And that we're really just about self-improvement and living the life as full as we possibly can. And if you've ever seen Gary Young on stage or met him, you'll know exactly what he's meaning. And I wanted to throw this in, even though this isn't a basic essential oil class, because some people think, okay, well, if I buy a kit of oils and, that's just going to magically turn off the light switch of whatever health issue I might have going on. And the truth of the matter is that it's really kind of a lifestyle approach. And the essential oils are fantastic in terms of being one amazing, powerful tool that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of possible benefits to it. But if we're living a toxic lifestyle, it's kind of like trying to shovel snow during a snowstorm. And I know that you folks in Michigan will get that analogy, right?
Yes,
So you
that's
want to be,
analogy.
what's that?
It's a great analogy. I very much get that.
Okay, so you really want to be choosing what you're going to be using. So your lotions, your shampoos, your deodorants, your household cleaners, your skincare, your nutritional supplements. You want all of that to be something that not only isn't causing problems for the body, but it might even have properties that are actually beneficial to the body. And that's something that we definitely offer in Young Living. So one common question when I start talking about essential oils is like, what is an essential oil and where does it come from? And quite simply, all essential oils come from plants. Not all plants produce essential oils. There's like a narrow band of plants that do produce essential oils, but all essential oils come from plants. So if someone's like, it's been manufactured or we make it or whatever, anyone human who claims to make an essential oil, that's not possible, because it has to be taking plant material, we distill it or we cold press it or we resin tap it, and that's from there then we can get an essential oil. And the way that an essential oil functions in the plant has a little bit of similarity to what happens even in our own blood. Now, it's not identical, so please don't quote me as saying it's identical as being the same as blood. However, for example, when a plant maybe gets sunburned or something, or an animal comes along and breaks off a branch or something, the essential oils have different properties within the plant that go in and do some of the healing. It can function like the hormones for the plants. It can do things like attract beneficial animals to them to help them carry their seed through the sense of smell and other things. So essential oils are something that humans and plants, we have we speak the same language, and we can get along with plants. And when we bring them to the body and we inhale them and we bring them into the body knows exactly what to do with them, as opposed to some of the synthetic things. Essential oils, they have personalities or characteristics, or some people say constituents. So they're really oxygenating molecules. And what they do is, I call them kind of a shuttle bus. They're really excellent at sort of going into the cell, knocking on the door. The cell kind of opens the door a crack and says, who are you and what do you have? And, oh, it's you. You're an essential oil. Come on in and bring whatever you need to. So that's one of the cool things, because Young Living puts essential oils in all of their nutritional supplements. And we have found that when you pair the essential oils in the nutritional supplements, that the body loves it even more. It's like, yeah, bring it all in. Bring it all in. My body's absolutely. And so, hi, Evelyn. And so then we've got things, if you wanted to get into a deeper study of essential oils, if you guys could do me a favor and just mute your background, then we won't get, the recording will be a little bit cleaner when we go to share it with other people. So lavender is a great example. So it's got some different personalities. It's got these esters, alcohols, and monoterpenes. And those are a bunch of just scientific terms. If you really want to go deep into essential oils and make a study of aromatherapy, that might be something that you would want to look at. But it's not required in order for the oils to work. And that's what's so cool. You do not have to be a walking herbal dictionary for these little bottles of oils to work for you. So there are some different properties that, and I'm not going to spend too much time because not everybody's really into the heavy science end of things. And if there's a group of you who really wants to go deeper into a more sciencey kind of version of essential oils, I'd be happy to do that in another class, but I don't want people's eyes to glaze over while we're going through this. But like orange essential oils got a property that's called D-limonene. I would encourage all of you to just Google D-limonene essential oils and health benefits and see what comes up, because I think you're going to be amazed at all of the scientific theory that's been made about the D-limonene that's found in the citrus. So let's talk about purity really quickly. You don't want to be fooled by a synthetic essential oil. This is a graph that demonstrates the, hey guys, if everybody could just mute themselves until you're ready to talk, that would be really helpful, because then we'll have a really clean recording. So the essential oil industry, you can see from this pie chart, there is a very tiny, small percentage of essential oils that are really pure. And the rest of them, they're either synthetic or they're really a low grade. So, an essential oil really needs to have three properties. It has to be pure. So in order for an essential oil to be able to be pure, that means we're just taking a plant and we're just running steam through it in order to get the essential oil. That's pure. And we've got to start with the right plant too, because not like in the world of lavender, for example, you've got Lavandula angustifolia. Hopefully I just pronounced that right. And that's called true lavender. And that's the one that is really particularly amazing. And that's the one that Young Living carries for lavender. And then there's lavandin. Now, lavandin has some properties, but it also has some properties that maybe you wouldn't use lavandin in the same way that you would true lavender, because of the way that it can respond on the skin. So it doesn't mean it doesn't have the beneficial properties. It just means that you might use it a little differently. So imagine you're an innocent person. You walk into Whole Foods, you see a bottle of lavender, and it says it's 100% pure. And you're thinking, well, it says organic and it's 100% pure. Let me tell you, the codex in this country, the labeling laws, they don't require that essential oil company to tell you that there's Lavandula angustifolia in there, and there's lavandin plant, like a hybrid type of lavender. They're not required by law to let you know that. But if I were to be using it on my skin, that would be something very, very important to me to be aware of before I chose to put it on my skin. So when it comes to choosing an essential oil that you're going to be using in sort of a way to support your wellness, or to make your skin, enhance your skin, or make things look great, or to lift your mood and that kind of thing, you want to know what the purity level is in these things. Got to be authentic. And so that means that, just like what I was talking about, that it is what it actually says that it is, that it's not lavandula and lavandin in that bottle, but that it's just the lavandula in there. And then it's got to be potent. So we could have some company take plant material, and maybe they didn't use chemicals in their distillation, but it's entirely possible that they're new on the game and they really don't know what they're doing. Or they're sourcing it from somewhere where someone's like, oh yeah, I can distill essential oils for you. But I'm telling you, it is an art to be able to do this right. You have to have exactly the right pressure for exactly the right plant. You've got to run it for exactly the right number of hours. And, because it is possible to burn an essential oil. And if you burn it, that means you've lost a couple of, or hundreds potentially, of the more delicate molecules that should be present in that essential oil if you've distilled it properly. So those three things were, it's got to be pure, it's got to be authentic, and it's got to be potent. And the only way we're going to get that kind of potency is if we really know the distiller, we know the grower, and we know how it was done. And there's only one company that I know of that even will openly show you what they're doing, and that's Young Living. Because you can, as a member, you can walk onto any farm anywhere in the world. You can participate in planting or in the harvesting and the distillation. And that's pretty amazing, because there aren't a lot of companies out there that are that transparent. So we've got this seed to seal that's guaranteed. So there's three ways that we extract. We can do steam extraction, cold pressing, which is what your citrus are, and resin tapping, which would be like your frankincense type of plants. This is me in the Utah farm, and I was on the silver retreat, jumping in the lavender field. Let me tell you, when you get in the lavender field, Michelle, I know that you've been to the lavender farm just from the Young Living conventions. It's like no other. It's really pretty cool to see these amazing plants. And this is a picture of me downstairs in the distillery on the Utah farm, where they have a sign posted for everybody to see that quality is not something that's negotiable. Like, that's a saying there. Okay, so let's talk really quickly about the three major ways that essential oils work in your body. So an essential oil, the molecules of it are so tiny, and they're also something that's called fat soluble. Well, what that means, what does that mean to you? What's the big deal? Well, what it means to us as humans is that we can breathe it in and it gets into our body very quickly, or we can apply it topically and it's going to get into our body very quickly, because it has the ability to go through this skin layer where the capillaries are there ready, just like a catcher's mitt, to pick it up and just send it through the system. And there have been some inhalation studies, and the inhalation studies show that when someone inhales an essential oil, that it's in the bloodstream in a matter of minutes. And we've also know that when we apply essential oils topically, that it can get into the bloodstream in a matter of minutes as well. So that's something that's pretty cool. Okay, I already talked about authenticity. I just thought that was a cute kid picture. But what are some of the things that you can do with essential oils? Well, you can use them in your bath. You can use them for an excellent night's rest. You can use them as part of, having non-toxic cleaning. You can use them to help you with energy and stamina and focus. Has anyone ever felt like this guy right here in front of their computer? Because I know some people that work in offices, and this is what Mondays feel like.
Oh, I never feel that way.
Okay, good. Yeah, that was said with the tongue in cheek, right? So, and then I'm a mom. No explanations needed there for that. And especially if, my kids are older, but when the kids are little, then that's something that people feel. And essential oils, believe it or not, can be particularly helpful in this arena. Not only for the kids, the dog, the vacuum, the frying pan, and, and everything else, but for the mom too. And so this is one of my favorite blends. I love that they labeled this Common Sense. And so let's just talk about blends for a second. So a blend is where you take a couple of different, or how many ever, essential oils, and you put them together just like you would a recipe. So are there always equal parts of an essential oil in a blend? Not necessarily. Sometimes because of the weight of the molecules, because some essential oils, they have lighter molecules and they have like lighter notes, medium notes, or heavier notes. So in terms of how quickly they kind of get up into the air and we smell them and detect them is going to vary from plant to plant. And even within one plant, it could have a couple of light, medium, and heavy notes within that one plant. So when we first smell it, we might smell something. And then a minute later, we're going to smell something else. And then a minute later after that, we're going to smell something else. So that's the different weights of the molecules coming out. So in a blend, there might be 1 drop of this, 3 drops of that, and 10 drops of something else in order to create what it is that the person who's blending is going for. And just the way it works in Young Living is the labels that they give, or the title that they give to their essential oils, generally speaking, it kind of tells you what it is you're supposed to do with that essential oil. So common sense. I think we all know what we could do with common sense. I mean, there's some times when I want to like have my teenager bathe in it, It's just, it's a good one. And then people use essential oils. Like, how many people do you know in your world who are feeling like they're burning the candle from both ends and they're just feeling a little bit burned out? Well, we know through our sense of smell, it goes right into the part of our brain. And I think that I've got a slide coming up where it talks about our emotions and our memories are housed right, our olfactory bulb talks to that part of our brain. And so we can simply take 1 minute at our cubicle or whatever, put a drop of an essential oil in our hands, rub our hands together, and just sit there and smell it. You could always, put it on your neck, or some people like to, put it on their chest, so then they're smelling it. Depending on which oil it is, if it's not too spicy or too hot to go on my face, sometimes I'll create what I call an essential oil mustache, or I'll just wipe it right there on the tip of my nose, so I'm getting the benefits of it that way. So that can be really helpful if people are feeling some things from work or life or whatever it is. Helping kids get off to dreamland is another use for essential oils. And of course, I talked to you that we always put essential oils in all of the products in Young Living. I think there's probably I think that the probiotic is the only thing that doesn't have essential oils in it. But here's a great picture of my friend Tara's daughter. And she loves the KidSense toothpaste. So we've got essential oils in there. And one of the best things about Young Living is we really firmly believe that things that aren't safe maybe in other places are safe here with us. So a lot of the toothpaste that you might find in the store, it says very clearly on the back of that label, do not ingest this, or if you do, you need to call poison control. This is something that's going in our mouth, and that's a mucosal membrane, and that absorbs, we know, very quickly into the bloodstream. So with the KidSense toothpaste, and any toothpaste we've got 3 or 4 different kinds at Young Living, they can eat it and it's going to be okay. And at the same time, you've got the benefits of the oils in there, and it's got all of the great benefits of, creating that really excellent oral health too. What about animals? You might be surprised to discover animals love essential oils. We do need to remember to be really respectful. And my friend Angie Casey, she and her husband Tom have a veterinary clinic. It's called Integrative Vet Med Center here in Phoenix. And they're using tons of Young Living oils. In fact, they clean their entire clinic using the essential oil based cleaning products like Thieves, and there's a couple recipes that they make, and they've got a surgical unit and everything. So but the animals, they have discovered that from an emotional point of view, like if they're nervous and they're about to go in for a procedure, or just even coming into the vet office, that they're using the oils to just kind of soothe the owner and soothe the animals. And animals do really respond positively, whether you're a horse or whether you're a cat or whether you're a dog. We do want to be respectful of the animals. We don't want to like enclose them, and we don't want to go off to work and enclose them in a bathroom and force them to smell an oil and they don't have the ability to get away from it, because their sense of smell is much keener than ours. And if they might in the first 5 seconds get all that their body is needing, and then we wouldn't know that. So we always want to give them the opportunity to get away from an essential oil if possible. Okay, this is just kind of one of those funny meme things where it's that moment when you left your house without an essential oil. It's almost the same feeling as like realizing you left your house without your cell phone. So if you guys can relate to that, it's almost the same feeling. So it's important for safety to discuss diluting, and we dilute using a carrier oil. Now, a carrier oil is different from an essential oil. Essential oils are not going to feel greasy on you. They're just like a liquid that basically just absorbs right into your skin. Whereas something that most people will be familiar with would be an olive oil or a coconut oil, grapeseed oil, jojoba oil, almond oil. I think you guys are getting the picture. So those are fatty vegetable oils. And what's cool about using these fatty vegetable oils with essential oils is we can do 2 different things. One, when we mix, like if we have a baby or a tiny animal, or if we know someone who has very sensitive skin and we are choosing an essential oil that might be a little bit hotter on the skin, we are going to want to dilute it. So we would maybe take a little bit of, I don't know, coconut oil, or you know, Young Living has the V6 massage oil, put a little bit in the palm of our hand, and then we would add our drop or drops of the oil and kind of mix it around there, then do the topical application that way. If I had a baby, and if a baby only needs like half a drop, and then how do I get a half a drop if 1 drop comes out of the bottle at the same time? That method I just described to you where you've just diluted it. So instead of using that whole puddle of your carrier oil with your essential oil in it, you can just kind of take your fingertip in there and apply it to the bottom of the baby's feet or their tummy or their spine or wherever it is that you're wanting to apply that oil. And if you're wanting less, you know, really wanting a lesser amount for the baby. So diluting is something that I highly recommend, especially if you're using a spicier oil, or if you're starting out for the first time, or if you're pretty sure that your skin is a little bit sensitive. And what we recommend is you can do kind of a patch spot, and a good location to do that is right here on the forearm. Just do a tiny small spot. See what happens after 5 minutes. If all is good in the hood, then you're good to go. Generally speaking, the skin kind of on the neck and on the face tends to be a little bit more sensitive. We never want to put an essential oil actually in the ear canal. We can wipe it around the outside of the ear if that's where we wanted to apply the oil. And you can even, like what the eye can see, you can put it like on a cotton ball and then set it in the ear, but you never want to be dripping it down into the tunnel there. That's just too much. You don't want to do that. You don't want to put it in the eye. If you ever accidentally get peppermint, you know, like you put peppermint on and then it gets to the corner of your eye because you just went and wiped your eye, get your carrier oil out. Believe this is going to be counterintuitive, and actually put that right as close. I mean, you can even put the carrier oil, like your coconut oil, in the eye, and it will cut that vapor and that stinging, that heat sensation immediately. Same thing, if it ever gets anywhere else on the skin and it just feels too warm, get your carrier oil, your fatty vegetable oil, coconut oil, etc., and immediately put it on there, and it will just cut the heat immediately. So that's another safety issue. So we use it to be safe in the first place, and we can use a carrier oil also if we have like a boo-boo and a mistake that we've made. So I already talked about diluting. This is kind of a cool fact, and this is about 1 drop of an essential oil has 40 million trillion molecules in it. That's hard for my brain to get wrapped around, but basically it's like 1 drop of oil is enough to cover every cell in our body 40,000 times. So you can see that these oils are very powerful, and so in that reasoning, we've got to respect them. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see new essential oil users make, not that it's a bad mistake, it's just that, you know, people, you don't know. I wouldn't have known. I'm sure I was doing it the first day I had my bottles of oils, is I think that I need to use 20 drops. And clearly we don't need to use that much oil. I always say, and this is something that I've been taught, go low and go slow when you're first starting. And the reason behind that is because you can always add another drop of essential oils a minute from now or 30 seconds from now, but it's a little bit harder to take it away. And so that goes back to, remember, the diluting thing too. Okay, let's talk about using essential oils aromatically. So we can use our oils with our diffuser, and this is an example of one of the Young Living diffusers, and there's a picture of another one. We've got a whole line of different diffusers, so when you get started, you can pick the one that is the most aesthetically appealing to you and has the features that you like. This is one of the more popular ones because of how easy it is to use, and all you simply do is you take the top off there. And I hope you guys can see this through the video. Do you see that red dot there? That's a fill line. So you would fill your water to that line, and then you would add your drops of essential oils. Okay, how many drops would I add? Well, are we talking about a small room, or are we talking about a larger room like a kitchen area or something like that? And I would recommend somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 7 drops. I would go low and go slow because you only know yourself what is going to be the best potency for yourself. And sometimes there are people, when they first start with essential oils, there's some people that are just they have very strong, keen sense of smell, and they can be overpowered if we dump 20 drops of essential oil into the diffuser. So, start out with maybe the lower end of things, and then you can always add another drop the next time that you decide to diffuse. The other beauty of it is this thing is going to shut itself off. It runs silently. It's an ultrasonic, so it just kind of puts the molecules in the air. They're super lightweight. They're going to be hanging out, doing what it is that the oils do, and we're in the room and we're breathing them in. And this is a good benefit because if you have some cranky kids in the room, or cranky husbands, sometimes they're there, you can put kind of your stress away, or your lavender, or something that's just bright and cheery, like a lemon oil or an orange oil or something like that. And it's just quietly diffusing in the atmosphere, and all of a sudden people's moods start perking up. And that is one little trick as a mom that I learned. So in the morning I like to diffuse like peppermint and lemon because it just kind of wakes everybody up. It's sort of like wake up and be happy combination. So give that a try. You can also do something like smell it directly from a bottle. You could just open your bottle and smell it like that. That's another easy way to do it. Some people will put it in cotton balls and stick it in the air vents. There's a bunch of different ways that we can use them aromatically. Okay, so diffusing is definitely, we talked about this earlier, that it's the shortest route to the brain through our olfactory bulb. So we smell it, it goes into these receptors, the receptors immediately fire it into the brain. It's actually our sense of smell is our only sense that doesn't have like a bypass station in the brain. It goes directly to the limbic region of the brain without stopping anywhere. Whereas our sight and our touch and our taste, it gets processed before the signals get interpreted and sent around in the body. So that part's kind of cool. Let's talk quickly about frequency. This is something that some people are very comfortable talking about and other people less so, but we are definitely electric. That is established in science. And so we even have a language in the English language where we talk about someone's down or someone's feeling low. And what we're talking about is like their energy. And when we see people and they're feeling healthy and vibrant and their mood is high and their emotions are really balanced and they're feeling kind of happy, then we describe them as, oh, they're really up, or they're feeling, their emotions were high or something like that. So essential oils also have a frequency. So foods we eat, they have a frequency. So the junkier foods, things that are all processed and that kind of thing, and they're not healthy for us, those are lower frequency, and it's measurable, believe it or not. Those are lower frequency foods. So then if we bring lower frequency stuff into our body, what do you think is going to happen? That's going to happen. When we bring high frequency foods like fresh foods and vegetables and foods that are free from pesticides and things like that, what do you think happens with our health and things like that? That's right, it starts going up. Well, with essential oils, we can smell an essential oil because they have high frequencies. The highest frequency, I believe, is rose, although it seems like I've heard that Idaho blue spruce might be higher than that. I don't know. There's different opinions about that. But when we smell an essential oil, it raises our frequency. So that is something just to, give yourself some ideas about that. We already talked about the limbic system. Let's talk about using them topically. So I talked about diluting, and that when you get your essential oils, you've got dilution instructions on the back of the bottle. You can just simply follow those. And typically when you get your kit from Young Living, let me show you just like a quick example of what the starter kit looks like. You get a collection of oils like this. You're going to get a little brochure that tells you some information about that. So you don't have to remember everything I'm saying right here, because the kit that you'll get will, tell you what it is that you need to know. So where do you put it if you're going to be putting on topically? You can put it wherever you think you need it. There are some of my favorite places that I like to do it. So if I'm doing things a little bit more on the emotional end of things and I want to really lift myself, sometimes I will put it over my heart, because then my body warmth will kind of be lifting that up and giving me the aromatic benefit of it. Sometimes I like to put it on my brain stem here on the back, or on right behind my ears. I like to put it on my pulse points on my wrist, because it's so easy for me if I'm out driving or something and I want to smell something that I find very calming and very soothing and very grounding. I can just bring my wrist very easily up. I suppose you could put it on the top of your wrist, but just very easily up to my nose to smell it. And so the other place would be the bottom of the feet, which is my next slide there. So there's a great example. And there's something within the aromatherapy world that is the VitaFlex points. And I want you to imagine, some of you have heard of reflexology, and that just means that there's these different meridian points are registered, or they are represented on the bottom of the feet. So for example, the big toe represents the brain. So you could put an essential oil on your big toe if you wanted to kind of send it up to the brain, or you could put it more in the middle of the foot if you wanted to address the lungs, or on some of the smaller toes if you wanted to address the nose and the sinus and some different things like that. And sometimes people, if they don't absolutely love the aroma of an essential oil, they'll target things just through using the bottom of the foot. Okay. We already talked about how it can go in through the skin, and that if it's something that's a hotter oil, that you're going to want to have that vegetable oil, like your carrier oil, handy to help you out with that. Let's talk about using oils internally. This is something that has in recent years become kind of a big deal. And the reason why is because there's been a lot of Me Too companies that have come onto the market. And everybody's kind of taking a page from the book in Young Living, almost literally in some cases, and saying ours are just as pure as Young Living. Well, we actually have some food labels on our essential oils. These are our Vitality line. So our Vitality line is not a different oil. So if I'm talking about lemon in this case, I don't know if you guys can see that. This is our lemon Vitality. And what's different from lemon Vitality versus lemon essential oil? What's the difference inside the bottle? Nothing. Let me say that again. What's the difference between the lemon Vitality and the lemon essential oil that's got the different bright yellow label? Absolutely nothing. It's the same exact essential oil, but the FDA guidelines require us to put a different label on it if we're going to say that it is something that can be ingested or taken internally. So same oil, just has to have a different label. So the other bottle of essential oil will instruct you that you can use it aromatically or topically. So that's just something that I wanted to share with you guys, because as you're looking through the Young Living site, you might say, well, what's the difference between lemon Vitality and just lemon essential oil? And that's one of the main differences. Now we can do things like add essential oils to our water. We can add essential oils to our food. We can put them in a capsule. Do I have my capsules? I must have used it in my last class. There are some vegetarian capsules. Young Living sells them, but they're also very easy to find in any health food store. And the way it works is you get this capsule and you would open it, and then you would put your drops of essential oils in there. And I like to add a little bit of a carrier oil, coconut oil or something like that, just to help dilute it. And for most people, if you're ingesting essential oils for the first time, sometimes we don't know what our digestive system is going to do with things. And if you've ever burped back lavender vitality, you're going to want to have the carrier oil in there, because burping back lavender isn't the best thing on the planet. You can also do things like create your own honey. One of the things that I've done recently is I took one of those smallish canning jars that are about, I think, somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 a cup. I added a good organic honey to it, and then I put 10 drops of Thieves, 10 drops of lemon, and 10 drops of peppermint. And then what I did, I kind of stirred it up, and now I've got something that I have ready to go. It's not going to go bad, and I can just take a spoon of that. I can pour in some hot water, maybe add a little apple cider vinegar, and I've got a really fantastic immune supporting, throat soothing, uplifting, energizing kind of tea, if you will. And it's been infused with the vitality oils of the Thieves, the lemon, and the peppermint vitality. And so that's another example of how we can use it. I do cook a lot with essential oils. I make this really excellent lemon bar recipe that I got off of a Young Living cookbook that uses the einkorn wheat, by the way. Einkorn is fantastic. So if you haven't had a chance to explore that, you might want to, especially if you've got some sort of a food sensitivity with the wheat. So we talked about topically or internally. You can use the essential oils. In this slide, it shows that it can be supportive of just about every system in the body: our digestive, our respiratory, detoxification system, hormones, cardiovascular, muscle and joints, and all of those things. Now, this is a little tip that a lot of people don't realize. In this slide, you can see that there's a tiny hole where the red arrow is, and that's where the essential oil comes out. What a lot of people don't realize is this is kind of a rule of thumb. Generally, the way that kind of whitish cap, that's called an orifice reducer, and it controls the number of drops so that we don't just dump a bunch of oils into our hand when we tip our bottle over. But if you take the label and you turn it label up, and I always tell people, don't go like this. Instead, just let gravity pull that single drop of oil out, and then you won't waste your oils, because the viscosity or the thickness of essential oils from plant to plant varies. So for example, frankincense comes out very fast, but something like vetiver, you're going to be waiting there for 3 days waiting for that drop of oil to come out. So, and myrrh is another one that's thicker. Patchouli is thicker. And so if you know to just kind of take your time and control it and let the drop come out with the gravity, you won't feel like you waste your essential oil. So I thought that was worth saying. And then this is a slide showing some of the vitality oils. If you're going to be ingesting your oils and you're going to be drinking them in your water, it's really important that you not use plastic. Not use plastic. You want to be using glass or stainless steel, or if you've got one of those ceramic coffee mugs, that's fine too. But things that we need to know about, especially if you're using some of the citrus oils, that delimonene property that I was telling you about earlier, it literally breaks down petrochemicals. So imagine that it's in your plastic water bottle, breaking it down as it's sitting in there, and then you go and drink that. That is not something that anybody wants entering into their body. So let's start going through some of the individual oils. Talk about some of the different properties. I'll take some questions now if anybody has any questions at this point. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, then I'm just going to keep moving forward. Okay, so lemon oil, it takes 75 lemons to make one 15 milliliter bottle of lemon oil. So that's a pretty intense amount of lemons. And I already talked about the constituent that's called limonene. Again, guys, go and Google that, because limonene and health benefits would be a great Google fun thing to look at. You'll be kind of impressed. You can use it to flavor your water. You can use it to flavor your food. I told you I make, lemon bars with it. And you can take it as a dietary supplement. And actually, one of my favorite combinations is to take the lemon vitality, the lavender vitality, and the peppermint vitality, and put that into a capsule and take that. It's really great in the fall time or in the springtime. And then we've got, that would be a pair of my son's Boy Scout pants. He came back from a camp out, and I'm still to this day trying to figure out why he took chewed up bubble gum and stuck it back in his pocket. He was younger then, but he did. And I discovered it when I went to go put them in the wash. And I thought, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. We're either going to be buying a new pair of pants or we're not. And I knew that lemon oil breaks things down. So I started putting drops of lemon oil and just kind of scratching at it. And you can see the picture results that it got all of it out, and it was really potent and powerful for that. I also make lemon cake. So I use the einkorn flour, because anytime that I can get away from regular wheat for my family, I really like to do that. And so there's a little recipe there. And if you want to go on oil nuts, I know in the files, or if you just go, like in the search bar on oil nuts, you can find a whole bunch of recipes on there. Just type in the word recipe and all the recipes are just going to come up. Okay, so let's talk about peppermint. Peppermint is something I was using this afternoon. Believe it or not, in Arizona, it's the month of, what are we, like the 20 whatever of, or the 26th of October, and it was a really hot day. And I was in a tennis match, and I felt like it was the middle of August. It was that hot. And so I was taking my peppermint, and I was putting a drop, I put a drop on my fingertip, and then I put it on the tips of my ears and on the back of my neck, on my wrist, tip of my nose, because I wanted to be focused, because, you know, when it's hot outside and you're moving around, sometimes your attention starts falling down. And I made sure that I breathed it. And I am telling you how, I can't explain how invigorating just taking that drop of oil was for me. And when it's warm outside, that's just one of my favorite ways to use it. I also like to use peppermint vitality in my workout water bottle. It's same thing. It's invigorating, it's refreshing, and there's been some interesting research on peppermint and working out, so I'd encourage you to go Google that too. So peppermint, most people know, is excellent for our digestive system. So it's great for promoting our healthy bowel function and, gastrointestinal support. So you could put it in a little bit in a glass of water and drink it down that way, or put it right over your tummy. Digest is a blend that is also great for supporting the digestive system. And it has peppermint in it, but it also has a bunch of oils in it, like ginger and fennel and anise and lemongrass, patchouli and juniper, that your whole entire digestive system is going to say, thank you for, I wouldn't dream of going to places like India or Mexico without a bottle of Digest. Let's just put it that way. So you can take it as a dietary supplement. This is just a little chart showing the digestive system. Frankincense is one of my very, very, very favorite essential oils. There is a reason why there is such a rich history with this essential oil. It was, there was a lot of trade that happened over just people trying to move frankincense places. And there's a whole frankincense trail. And Gary Young wrote a book called The Gift, where it's a fiction about a story of a guy who was, doing the frankincense trail. And it's a really fascinating read. So if you haven't had a chance to read that, I highly recommend going and looking into that. But frankincense is one that I love, love, love for anything having to do with the skin. And especially if you want it to look really healthy, and it can help with fine lines and stuff. And we do have a lot of our skin line that will have the frankincense oil in it. But if you wanted to make your own quick one, like with your kit, then when you get your starter kit, you can just take some jojoba oil add about 5 drops of frankincense to it, 5 drops of lavender to it, and I like to add 5 drops of copaiba to it, just because copaiba also has some really nice properties to it too. Now you've got a really nice face serum, so you could put that on at night, and jojoba absorbs so nicely into the skin. It's the closest thing to our own skin sebum. It's great for massage. I love to diffuse it. It's an aroma that is very grounding and relaxing. So there's a reason why it's been used in a lot of religious ceremonies throughout history, because of the impact and the way it makes people feel. We have a frankincense vitality oil, which means we can ingest that frankincense. I'm going to tell you, frankincense doesn't taste super delicious, but you might like the way frankincense makes you feel. And I will tell you again, today on the tennis court, I took a drop of frankincense vitality and I held it up to the roof of my mouth. And I just felt like everything just started like opening up in my mind and my brain. And I was, between that and the peppermint vitality, I was like, woohoo, let's go. And it was something that I found really beneficial. So my husband likes to put frankincense on his skin. And so there's a picture of my husband's forehead. And then let's talk about a blend called Purification. Purification is one that I think of if something's kind of stinky, that's the one you want to immediately go for. So it's great for eliminating odors. And if you are someone who spends time outdoors, like maybe you watch someone play soccer, or you like camping and hiking or something like that, you might want to take a drop of Purification. You could just put a couple drops in your hand, rub your hands together, and then you want to scent yourself. It's got citronella in it. And what do we know about citronella and being outdoors? There are some things that allow you to be completely free from annoyance when you have citronella around you. There's some other oils in there that are also beneficial, but it's something that you could very quickly do it. Some people like to make up like a spray bottle, kind of like this thing. So they put water in there, and then they'll put like 7 or 10 drops of the Purification oil, and you just want to shake it before you spray yourself down. And so that's another thing. So you can do things like add it to the animal sense ointment to help moisturize the skin. And you can just put it on topically. It's a really fantastic one for diffusing, though, I will tell you that. And you can see in this next slide, one day I was making cookies and I had to go run my son to school for band. And I asked my other son, I just put a batch of cookies in the oven. Can you please get them out? When I came back, this is what I saw. So you can imagine what my house smelled like upon seeing something like this. Well, no problem for me. I got my diffuser going with some Purification in it. In a matter of minutes, everything just kind of cleared out and it smelled fresh again. So Purification can be really helpful for things like that. Panaway is another one of my favorite. They're all my favorite if you guys haven't figured this out by now. But Panaway is one that if you're doing exercise and you do that really tough workout and your muscles are screaming at you, Panaway is your very, very best friend. So you can put it on your shoulders, your elbow, your knee, your ankle, your lower back, your upper back, wherever. And if you want it to go in a larger area, you might mix it with a carrier oil, or one of my favorite things to mix it with, just kind of like amplify it, is to use, we have some massage oils that have essential oils in them. And for people who are sports minded, there's one that's called Ortho Ease and Ortho Sport. And when you add a little Panaway to that, it's really fantastic. Okay, here's another little recipe. So it's like V6 and Palo Santo and wintergreen and Panaway and then Cool Azul. Any of these would be something that you could create to create that post-workout massage oil for yourself. Let's talk really quickly about winter and times when we want to be really supporting ourselves to the best of our ability to really keep our health above the wellness line. One of my favorite things to use is our Thieves oil blend. You can use it in the diffuser. Some people will mix it with a carrier oil and put it along the spine, or sometimes people will just every single day from the month of September until they get through to spring, they're putting a drop of Thieves on their feet every day before they go to work or before they go to school. And that's something that is super beneficial. There's just no No doubt about that. We have a Thieves Vitality also, and I was talking earlier about it when I was telling you about making the honey that had the thieves and the peppermint and the lemon in it. So with the Thieves Vitality, how would I use that? In the honey, or I could put it into a capsule, or I can tell you that I've made pumpkin pie with thieves because it's got cinnamon and clove in there and lemon, and it tastes actually really pretty good. I have made some pumpkin cookies with it before, and it's just a really fantastic vitality oil, and it definitely contributes to your overall wellness. So there's a picture of, you know, making the immune honey. This recipe shows orange oil, but orange or lemon, it doesn't matter. You could use either one. I already talked about carrier oils, so I won't spend a lot of time on that one, but there's an image that we have on oil nuts if you look in the photos where you're going to be able to see this more closely, and it just talks about the comedogenic ratings. So when people are thinking about making a face serum for themselves, depending on your skin type, that might be something that you would take into consideration. Let's talk about cleaning the house. So we've got a really excellent cleaner that's made with Thieves. Thieves is so potent and so powerful that we have an entirely, we've got toothpaste, we've got laundry detergent, dish soap, we've got Thieves household cleaner. We've got so many different products that have the Thieves oil in it. Why? Because if you find something that's really powerful and potent, why not add it to a bunch of different things? And so this is a whole bunch of different things that people have done with their Thieves cleaner. I've been using this, it must be close to 10 years that I've been using the Thieves cleaner. And I literally took every single, like the window spray and the toilet bowl cleaner and the tub cleaner, all of those things went out in the garbage. And now I only use the Thieves household cleaner. And if I need some friction, I'll either use, I like to use baking soda. So you can make even your own soft scrub. Take a handful of baking soda, kind of spritz it with your Thieves household cleaner. You could add a drop of lemon if your tub's kind of got that black ring around it. And then use that as your soft scrub to clean up your tub. People are putting it in their carpet steamer. Sometimes people are adding it to a load of laundry if they're particularly stinky, although this was made before we actually had the Thieves laundry soap, and I don't think you necessarily need to do that anymore. I literally have replaced all the cleaners in my entire house, and I love that not only is every ingredient that's in there, it's got the stamp of approval from EWG, but when I'm breathing in those essential oils that are in the cleaner, I'm getting I know that it's actually something that ends up being good for me. So we can replace all this and just get that other thing. Let's talk about RC. RC stands for respiratory comfort. You can rub it on your feet or you can put it on your chest before you maybe go and work out and just really open everything up. It's a great thing to diffuse, especially at night. I like to wipe a drop on the shower stall in the wintertime and let that steam get in there and get that aromatherapy steam. It's got a couple of different kinds of eucalyptus in there and myrtle oil and pine. It's got lavender, cypress, the black spruce, peppermint. So there's a lot of good, potent, powerful oils in there that are really beneficial for us, especially, well, pretty much any time of the year. But for a lot of people, they're looking for something that's that comforting between the month of September and, I don't know, let's say April. Copaiba, I call this kind of like the stealth essential oil. It doesn't have a really strong aroma to it. It's got a kind of a faint balsam aroma to it, but don't let that fool you. It is probably one of the most potent oils that's in the everyday oil collection. And you can use the Copaiba Vitality. It's a great thing to add to the Ningxia Red drink. And you can just add that to a capsule. You can use it topically, and you can diffuse it. So there's so many, and this oil, you're gonna find that in Deep Relief, it's in Breathe Again. I know it's in some other things, but I'm forgetting off the top of my head what they are. Again, a very potent essential oil. Here's a great little recipe on using lavender where you can make a gentle facial scrub. You're just gonna take a couple teaspoons of baking soda, add a drop of lavender, add a little warm water to it, and now you've got a very gentle scrub. And remember, you're not acting like you're scrubbing the kitchen sink. It's just a very gentle action that would use. Lavender, it is seriously the jack of all trades. It is the Swiss Army knife of all essential oils. And if you can't figure out what essential oil you might use, pick lavender. You will never go wrong. And as long as I'm saying that, there's no wrong essential oil for any given situation. There might be an essential oil that could be more appropriate or better suited to what it is that you're wanting to do. But our oils are so pure, and one single plant like lavender or peppermint or whatever, it could have up to a couple hundred different properties in there. And there's probably something in there that your body's going to say, oh, hi, thanks for giving me that. So you can use it. Everybody knows that lavender is kind of a relaxing aroma. And so it's something that you could diffuse next to your bedstand at night. You could put it into a diffuser necklace that maybe would be near you. It's fantastic for skin. I don't care what we're talking about as it relates to skin. It's whether you're a young person or whether you're an older person, lavender is such a go-to oil for skin. In fact, on a beach vacation, I had brought along with me an empty spray bottle and my bottle of lavender. And I just took some clean, pure water, added some drops of lavender to it. And it was the most refreshing spray for my whole family after we'd been spending some time at the beach. And I just thought this was cute because there's a baby all chilled out. And it's because mom was diffusing those essential oils again. So the final oil that you get in the starter kit is Stress Away. And like when I was telling you earlier that the labels in the blends with Young Living, they tell you what you're supposed to do with them. So Stress Away is really great for if you need to relax, if you're feeling really wound up, really tight. I like to put it just like on my shoulders. I never waste an essential oil. I always smell if I've put it on topically. I always make sure that I'm also breathing it in because it might be going into my bloodstream by me putting it on topically, but I also want to signal my brain by smelling it. And it's got lime and vanilla and that copaiba that's in there, lavender, acacia, and cedarwood. So it's just a fantastic one. Here's a great example. Does people say, well, will my cat like it? Will it be okay? Does this show you that some cats get up close and personal right up next to the diffusers? And so do some of the dogs. And then they need to have the freedom to get away when they've had whatever it is that, they've gotten their share. I do know some people who have cats that they have certain oils that they know their animals absolutely love. Like my dog, he loves the Northern Lights black spruce. He wants to lick my hand. He gets up close to the bottle. And then there are other oils like peppermint where he's like turning his head away and kind of like backing away from me. So the animals will kind of let you know about that. And I can't finish up tonight without talking a little bit about the wolfberry and the Young Living's Ningxia Red. So we've got the Ningxia Red drink, which is something that everybody gets a sample of when you get started. You get two of these sachets. I think it tastes the best when it's cold, although I can tell you I like the taste of it anyway, so if it's room temperature or if it's cold, I'm still going to be drinking it. But I think it tastes the best like this. Some moms like to put these in the freezer and then they'll just sort of snip that off and the kid's got a really healthy little popsicle. And that can be something that if the kid maybe, you know how when kids aren't feeling good and they don't, everything that you've offered them and you even get so desperate, you're like, I'll give you such and such, even though you're like, I never give them that. So here would be a great healthier alternative because then it would be popsicle-like and then it's also something that's really beneficial for them. And by the way, I have given it to my pets before. You give them less than a human would get, but it's very beneficial to the animals. And I can tell you that the horses and the animals on the Young Living farms, they're getting Ningxia Red and the essential oils. So what does this, drink do and how does it compare to, some of the other drinks that are out there on the market? And is it the same? Is it full of junk juices? No, it's got the wolfberry, which is one of the most important. It's the whole wolfberry. It's like the puree of it. So it's not just the extracted juice. And it's got a bunch of other different antioxidant fruit juices in there, like blueberry and aronia and cherry. And it's even got grapeseed extract in there. And of course, we have some citrus essential oils. So it offers us great energy levels. It's good for normal cellular function. It's head to toe overall wellness. It's good for the immune system. It helps with supporting normal eye health and, anything you can think of, every system in the body. And so I always encourage people that if you're the kind of person and you're like, I've tried doing supplements, I can never remember to take them, start with something simple like this, because anybody can remember to just open a bottle, pour themselves a shot, and do that in the morning. It's almost easier to do than it is to, to do the other stuff. I mean, I'm a fan of supplements because there are certain things that I think that the body is going to do better if you supply it with that kind of a nutrient. But this is one very easy thing. And I can tell you that over the years, the feedback that I've gotten from my customers and from, the members in our group is they say, you know what, Lori, I wasn't sure that it was doing very much for me because I was already in pretty decent health. But when I ran out of it and I didn't order more, that's when I really noticed a big difference, like kind of in my overall energy level and just how I was feeling. So it's one of those healthier foods that I budget my grocery budget, and I include that in there so that my family can have that. Okay, so another thing that people ask as I'm closing up here tonight is, are essential oils really expensive? And the truth is, no, compared to just about everything else out there, they're really not. You can see from this graphic that sometimes it's 9 cents a drop, or, lemon is 5 cents a drop. Would it be worth it to you if you got back from a tough workout and for 32 cents or maybe 64 cents that you can feel really awesome again after that tough workout for your muscles? It would be to me, because there are a lot of other things that you might go spend a lot more money on. And this is something that's natural and your body knows what to do with. And it's got a lot of other benefits to it. So it's something to keep in mind. And the way that most people get started when they join Young Living, if you're watching this call, then somebody's invited you here and they care about you. And so they wanted you to just learn a little bit about essential oils. And the way that most people get started is they join with one of the starter membership kits. And here's an example of what the starter kit looks like. So you get the bottles of oils, and then they give you some other extra things like the packets of the Ningxia Red and a roller ball so that you can turn any of your essential oils. I'll give you so you guys can see that. You can turn any of your essential oils into a roller ball, which can be really handy with oils like Pan Away or Stress Away. And then they give you these tiny little sample bottles. So if you've got a family and someone needs to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, instead of the bottle being gone, you can kind of divide it up among family members. Or if you have friends that you want to share with because they want to try a sample because they're thinking about getting the oils too, that's something that you can do. So go back to the person who invited you to watch this and ask them how you can get started. Make sure that you get their referral, because if you don't, you can end up an orphan somewhere with people you don't even know. And we've got a really great community here on the Oil Nuts, and it's just, the energy of everything is really fantastic, because if I have a question about something, even though I've been using oils for a long time, I might not have come across the opportunity to discover a certain product. But I know that so-and-so over there has been using that product for several years or a couple of months, and I want to know, what do they think about it, because I haven't tried it yet. So that's kind of the advantage of having our community. So that's it. Does anyone have any questions before I close out the call? As if you do, then I'd be happy to answer the questions. If you want to, you can unmute yourself and I can answer the question. No?
No.
No questions. Okay. Well then, hang on. Let me